Hi, I'm Dr. Bojack from Atlantic Chiropractic in Stoneham, Mass. Tonight we're going to talk about ProAct-Tack and axial compression. This guy, okay, obviously protects our lids or our skulls. It's meant just to do that, protect, versus be used as an actual weapon. Okay, so it sits up here on top of our cervical curve or cervical spine. Okay, cervical meaning neck. Okay, and that neck has 7 actual joints in it, and its actual structure integrity should be a curve. Okay, when the curve's intact, that neck acts as a team. So those 7 joints work together to disperse any kind of stress or tension, versus in this situation where it's not a curve and we're starting to get a reverse curve, these spinal joints start to work independently of each other. Okay? And as big old Tom Brady says, it's much more advantageous to work as a team versus as independent individuals. So the mechanism of injury, when a player head makes contact with a helmet of another player's, okay, and that produces relatively anywhere from 20 to 23 G forces. Okay, so that trauma going head to head, okay, produces roughly 23 G forces. Okay, so that's kind of the force that goes into that impact. So the question is, if in fact there's a normal curve to what absorb those 23 G, that 23 G force through that actual curve. If the height, if our helmet is flexed slightly forward, right, that curve's not in place. Consequently, okay, the normal curve is removed and the actual spine becomes straight. Hence, the mechanics aren't there, and the actual blow or that force can't be absorbed through that cervical curve. Okay. Consequently, what's going to happen? You're going to get functional anatomical breakdown of that neck. So we got a force, right? This is a helmet collides with this helmet. Okay, that's called what? Axial compression. 2 forces, okay, moving linearly impact each other. Results in, right, a break or fracture of that neck because that curve can't dissipate it, or it results in a misalignment of the joints. And consequently, what they don't right here is scar tissue. Right? The nemesis of every injury is scar tissue. When scar tissue forms, it's like what? Glue. And when it's like glue, those joints don't move like they need to. Hence, that's why they need us, right? A chiropractic adjustment to put the force, a specific individualized force into those joints to micro tear that scar tissue to reestablish motion and mechanics. Okay? So what causes that bone to break or subluxate is the compression of the spinal cord on the nerve roots. Okay? So bottom line is that axial compression on that helmet causes irritation on that neck, which actually aggravates the actual spinal cord or power cord inside that actual spine, which dissipates out to nerve roots, which dissipates out to organs, muscles, tissues, and glands. So it's either absorbed or it's going to what? It's going to respond by breaking, fracturing, or causing postural or mechanical distortions or misalignment. Okay, here's a close-up of that beautiful spine. So here's a vertebral body. Here's your foramen. Here's where that nerve root comes off that what? Spinal cord or power cord. Here's your disc space. Okay? So consequently, because of that force of that 23 Gs, these components are compromised, whether it be the vertebral body, which is a bony structure and that fractures, whether it be the disc space and the disc space decreases in height, whether it be the foramen or the opening where the nerve root comes out, okay, and because of that force, these 2 vertebral bodies misalign, which causes pressure or irritation on that nerve root because of the narrowing of that space. So postural mechanical distortions, mechanical dysfunctions irritate the components, which causes irritation to neurons. All right, so in regards to these cases, roughly a third of them result in injuries or irritations, right? Major ones being narrowing of the cervical spine, so where that foramen, where that nerve root comes out, okay, which causes mechanical dysfunctions or the subluxations, which is misalignments of the spine. So because of the axial curvatures, okay, or the poor structural integrity of the spine, this is the consequence, right? Narrowing of the spinal foramens because there's misalignment in the structure, which causes pressure on the nerve roots, okay, results in because of that force, right, that curve straightens out. So now again, as soon as that curve straightens out, it's no longer a team, it's not absorbing the shock, it's perpetuating into a response, whether it be a fracture of the vertebral body, narrowing of the actual disc, or narrowing of the frame where the nerve root comes out. Okay, so bottom line is, curvatures are so important. The structural, back to structure and function, right? Curve is so important. Okay, that curve has got to stay intact while you're playing. Whether you know what, whether you go into a pile up and you got to keep your head up, whether you're going to tackle, you got to keep your head up. Whether you're going into a situation where you're going into somebody's legs and tackle them, got to keep the head up. Okay, listen, remember, right? I played football. I play sports. This is never against the actual sport. This is only information, right? We can always combat challenges by more information that we are aware of, or knowledge of that information. And knowledge of the information makes it safe for us to provide the tools, right, or the principles for the sport to exist. And that's the whole premise, right? We want you to play football. We want you to play it safely, without injury, which is the whole point of why we do what we do. Remember, the power that made the body heals the body. There is no other, and we just want to keep that power in place and connected the way it needs to. Have a great night. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know time's very valuable. Give us a little love and please hit subscribe so we can get these videos to you. We love making them and we just want a little love back. That's all we're looking for. We love acknowledging you and giving you pertinent information in regards to structural mechanics, postural distortions, and basic life.